It's live, pal. Mic check 1 2 1 2. That's why we do mic checks. It doesn't feel like this one's on. It feels like that one is on. I am Chillmonger and Vin Diesel. Vin, my main man, Vin, Dominic Toretto. I forgot his name for a second, but then I remembered he's got some terrible, terrible news coming up out of. Is this a good view? I like this. Forbes magazine. So let's go ahead and read this Forbes thing. If you're in the chat, welcome. Universal's $1.1 billion Fast and Furious decision. This guy right here, this dude on the left, is my man. I love his movies. I love the action. I don't like thinking. I forget what even her name was and her relationship to him, but I said, cool. I think that's actually the sister of his baby moms in Brazil. Love it. Good to see you. I think you were Ratcatcher, weren't you? Daniela Melchior, that her name? Love her. Universal Pictures has reportedly insisted that it will only give the green light to the final part of its popular Fast franchise if the costs come down to $200 million. After the studio spent a staggering $1.1 billion on the last 3 films of the movie. All right. Is Universal Pictures stretching when they say, yo, Vin Diesel, you drive cars, $200 million is okay? Are they stretching? No, they're not. They should have never had a single movie go over 200 million. How much action do you really need that you can't get around without having more than 200 million? This is excessive spending, and it doesn't warrant this much spending. The amount of money that the last one grossed at the box office was $700 million. If you're only getting 700 million worldwide, then a 200 million, that's not a safe bet. That is not a safe bet. It's not like they got toy sales and a whole bunch of merch that otherwise coming out of the franchise. Unlike other ones, like we know the Marvel stuff that we all love. Marvel is going to do amazing with toy sales and amazing with even video games and other sorts of media, theme park attractions and whatnot. I don't think that Universal has that with Fast and Furious to the extent that the Marvel franchise does. I can use other franchises too. Hello Kitty, if they do a movie, we know it's going to sell toys, or Smurfs or something like that. So for that reason, I'm with the studio right now. Hey, Vin, we're going to have to bring that budget a little bit down. Okay. You know what I would like, though? A budget of $140 million for a Fast and Furious movie where they go, okay, we can't have everything we want, but maybe this allows us to be creative and we can focus on a guy's driving styles. How will we shoot that? Well, we can shoot from this angle here. And then it looks like, and I haven't thought it through, this full thought. That's why I'm stopping it as I'm thinking about it, but just fill in the blanks. With creativity, you can make things happen. Big famous example was Jaws. They had limitations with the shark, but actually it added to the movie when all you could see was the fin. That's what I'm talking about. I said the same thing with Fantastic Four. Vanessa Kirby's character, Sue Storm, she turns invisible. That is the easiest, cheapest of a special power effect you can do. All you got to do is say cut, hey, actor walk off set, and then boom, action. Whoa, a superpower was just used. And you didn't have to dig into the $200 million budget. All you did was stop and start. Who's in the chat right now? Let me check on that. We've got Rosales is in the building. He says, I'm just here to say like and subscribe. Love it. Thank you for being here just to say like and subscribe. And I know a lot of you guys are not here for my takes on this movie franchise, of course. We're more of the franchise lovers of, the superhero stuff, the Star Wars stuff, and all that good junk. So let me fix my screen since I'm here. Update layout. I think that's better. Let's return. Universal Pictures has reportedly insisted that will give the green light to the final part if it's popular Fast and Furious, if the costs come down to $200 million. Then he says, Fast 10, the latest installment, was released in 2023 and ended on a cliffhanger that set up what was expected to be the last ride. And now you're coming with me for the last ride for Vin Diesel and John Cena and co. Fast 10 Part 2 was expected to be released this year, but the release date was pushed back by Diesel, saying in June, Universal had asked him to gear up for the movie coming out in April 2027. However, The studio hasn't officially announced the movie, and a report in Wall Street Journal yesterday, Wall Street Journal has a paywall. Journal yesterday has cast doubt on its future. It claimed, although the film lacks a completed script, Universal has allocated a budget to it, and this could be a sticking point. According to the report, the latest draft of the script requires a budget of $250 million, but Universal wants to cut it by 20%. Look, can you do that? Yes. A lot of the money goes to actors, doesn't it? Well, who's the main actor? Vin, right? Ayo, Vin, actor slash producer. You really want to get this movie done? You're rich and famous. How about you take a pay cut? How about out of that 250 million that we need to take down, how about if 5 of those $1 million came out of your paycheck? Well, right? What are you gonna say? Well, I'm worth it. No, the last movie only got 700 million. You could say you're worth it when the last movie made $1 billion. When the last movie, you can ask for your prices. But when the last one with the huge marketing budget and the franchise history, when that only does 700 million, and I know I'm saying only, but when it only makes 700 million, then you should budget the next movie as if you anticipate a $700 million movie. And most franchises who are anticipating a 700 million aren't going to drop 250. No one drops 250. 250 goes to like Avengers movies. Maybe the new Star Wars, the Rise of Skywalker. Maybe that one did $250 million. But how many other franchises can you really say have done 250? Wasn't there a rumor that Superman did that? And then James Gunn said, hell no, it wasn't actually like that. Didn't Mission Impossible do something high like that? Mission Impossible for Paramount? Let me check. I'll check on that. This would be a significant feat given that Fast 10 cost a staggering 436 million, as this report revealed. Please tell me that that's not the final number. Filings from Universal in 2023 showed that the movie was expected to exceed the planned budget. And in order to cut sequels costs, Universal is reportedly looking to reduce appearances from some cast members and limit the filming locations. First of all, Vin Diesel told us, oh, we want to bring it back to the streets, back to Los Angeles. So when you tell me we're going to limit the filming locations, I believe it. I believe it's spin from Vin Diesel, but it's also not a bad idea because we've been so many other places. We were just in like Italy, Rome, at the Vatican. I think we were at the latest movie. So yeah, sure. Like really, let's go back to LA. We miss LA. We're barely in there anymore. Absolutely. I expect many franchises to downgrade budgets after the Doomsday film series plays out. Yeah, it feels like China isn't showing up anymore, and China would be like a solid $200 million, which the government would take a little bit of, but China was doing it. China was like validating a lot of these large budgets. Thankfully, just having an additional 200 million from another place because they don't have a action movie franchise scene. They do now, though. They do now. So America, Hollywood helped build that scene, helped build the audience, the taste for a big sequel. I mean, a big series of action. And now they're like, we'll just make our own. The original sequel playbook in the 80s and 70s was a reduction with every film. Well, that's not a reduction here. The only reduction is the Rock and his weights. Let's keep reading some of this. I love this. I've read the headlines and I was like, let me do a stream on it. But reacting to this as with the information that they have and the filings from 2023 show us that. Wow. So Universal was reportedly looking to reduce appearances from some cast members. If this movie is supposed to be the family culmination, I want to see every family member. So Universal, Universal. No, you have to understand what the final Fast and Furious movie means. It means that everyone who died, including Jacob, John Cena's character, who died, needs to be alive again and just driving with them. I want to see Brian driving with them, and I want to see like a final race against Dante and Cypher, and I want to see all the bad guys die. I want to see Mr. Nobody back. Everyone needs to be returning for this new movie. If one guy doesn't return, fine. Mr. Nobody doesn't return, but I want them all, even Bow Wow and his friends. Fast and Furious is famous for its globe-trotting scenes with Tokyo to LA. Fast 10, no exception. The passport stamps from Portugal and Italy. However, the production took place at Leavesden Studios in the UK, and this lifted the curtain on its colossal costs. Hey, yo, who did this? This is journalism. Who wrote this? Next time I see Carolyn Reed, the senior contributor, I'm gonna like respect the next few words. Carolyn Reed, thank you for this. So tell us all about these costs. Studios filming in the UK get a tax credit up to 25% of the money they spend in the country, provided that at least 10% of their core costs are included there, which I'm sure it was, right? But more than 10%. In order to demonstrate this to the authorities, studios set up a separate companies to produce each film in the UK, and they're obliged to file legally binding financial statements. Uh-huh. That's my main man. That's Brian, who's going to be back. Paul Walker played him. Unfortunately died. They didn't kill the character and emotionally manipulate you. The filings for the Universal subsidiary behind Fast 10 show it banked a 71 million credit, bringing the studio's net spending on the picture down to 364. The reimbursement is calculated on up to 80% of core expenditure. So, in order to get back at the maximum 25% of the money they spend in the UK, production companies need to ensure that 20% of their core costs are spent outside the country. Universal made the most of the film. Which country? UK or America? Let me read it again. In order to ensure that 20% of their core costs are spent outside the country. In order to get back to the maximum 25% of the money they spend, the UK production companies need to ensure that 20% of the UK's of their core costs are spent outside the country. Okay, I just needed that clarified. Fast and Furious, that it's AI. It won't be AI. Does anyone even want to see another one? You came to the wrong channel, bucko, because Chillmonger loves this Fast and Furious franchise. I love the unrealistic. I want to see what else you can do with a car. I want to see The Rock. I want to see someone get really popular somewhere, and then they're like, "You're part of the franchise now." Yeah, Cardi B has a role in this. Ludacris has a role in this. He was big when in Too Fast, Too Furious. When The Rock started getting big outside of wrestling, here comes The Rock. Who's that pretty girl from Game of Thrones? Come here, Ramsey. You're a part of the family. Who? Mid and Furious. Haters. Let's get back to the business. The most Fast and Furious Rome and Lisbon. The incentives on offer there are not as generous as in the UK, so their impact on the bottom line tends not to be material, especially as they can only account for up to 20% of the expenditure without studios losing out on more lucrative reimbursements. Just film more in the UK then. Even that wasn't enough to give Fast 10 a happy ending in the theaters. The movie only had the sixth highest gross of the Fast series, taking $704 million. The amount that theaters pay to studios is known in the trade as a rental fee and an indication of the typical levels come a film industry consultant Stephen Follows, who interviewed 1,000 film professionals in 2014 and concluded that, according to studios, theaters keep 49% of the takings on average. This research lends weight to the widely established 50-50 split, which would give Universal $350 million from the Fast and a $12 million loss at the box office. After deducting the $364 million net spending on the movie. Now, when you lose $12 million at the box office, they are specific at the box office. I still believe home video. I still believe other streams of revenue do make up for the $12 million. You can find $12 million from different places. I'll even throw in merchandising. Not that it's significant, but I'm sure that this wasn't that it lost money at the box office, as it says here. I'm not denying that one. It's just that overall, they probably still were a profitable movie. But just since we know we just skated past profitability, skated past flopability, skated past unprofitability. That's the word, unprofitability. We skated past it. 1 second. I gotta be right back. Hold on. I'm so sorry. I have to end the stream. I'll just finish my thought. Since we know we barely, just narrowly got to be where we were profitable, and we got charts and different things like that, we got to just accept that, yo, listen, the Fast and Furious franchise isn't the profitable, you know, worthy of $300 million again. Let's only spend 200 million or less. Let's bring it down and we'll be happy. And here's the chart with the tax credits. I'll stop the video there. I apologize. I wish I could go longer. All that being said, I'm chill. I'm out. Hit thumbs up. The Fast and Furious franchise still is something that will happen. It just means that people aren't going to be getting paid what they wanted to get paid. And true say, like a lot of these actors, what's Tyrese going to say? What? I was promised to be paid $4 million and you're only going to pay me 3? Well, I'm not coming, or whatever his budget is. Well, are they really going to say no? Or are they going to say, yeah, well, I saw that the last movie only made 700 million. I said, okay. Every actor will probably take a little bit less, especially the core actors. Rock, everybody. Rock doesn't have no leverage. Look at what happened with Smashing Machine. It's what are bringing in only 700 million this weekend. Smashing Machine. If I look at domestically on Friday, it only made $2 million. So what are we talking about right now? We're talking about like a movie that Smashing Machine. I'm looking at a movie that how much money is it going to bring in this weekend domestically? He doesn't have no leverage. A lot of these guys don't have no leverage. 100% tariffs on Hollywood films made outside the USA, so losing the China market and foreign tax credit means Universal wants a smaller budget. It's pretty transparent, bro. It's not a secret. Red Sound says, tuning in, catching up fast at 2 times. Well, I'm done. I'm out. Thank you for tuning in and for catching up. Remind Darius, please fix my account on his channel. Next time you're in Reddit, I will bring it up. Yes. Right Sound Studios. We got to unban you from the planet. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. If you're all the Fast fans, put a car emoji in the chat. Put a car emoji in the comments if you're watching the playback of this stream. I appreciate you. And check out later on tonight, you'll see that the back of the bus, both Marcus and Josh, about 4:30 Eastern, they're going to be doing their stream, and they'll give you their take on Fast and Furious, probably some Trump stuff, all that good, all that news. Let's see what they have to say about Tom Holland and how he broke his face and everything. Go check out the back of the bus, Marcus and Josh. All right? Bye.